We're going to ask a rather odd question to start this video off, but just roll with it, okay? Have you ever met someone that honestly looks like you? You know, as in, you're almost the same person, and you wonder what's going on? The truth of the matter is that given the endless genetic possibilities of our creation, there are absolutely times when a couple of people could look like one another, even though they have absolutely no relation to one another. Is it rare? Sure. But does it happen? Yes. What makes it even wilder, though, is that this can happen to celebrities, and you're left wondering if there's some cosmic mischief going on here. Don't believe us? We'll give you some examples. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. 9. Nicolas Cage. We're starting out with a fun one here, as you can picture the one and only Nicolas Cage and think, come on, no one could ever be like him. After all, the man with the unbearable weight of massive talent may have been a punchline for part of his career due to his number of movie productions and debt that he accumulated in his early days. But he's a legit dude who is always up for giving his all for his roles, even if those roles are just, well, for shovelware films, just saying. Anyway, take a look at this picture of him next to a man that is apparently from the Civil War era. You have to admit, the resemblance isn't just uncanny, it's downright unsettling at times. Not only does it have the overall look of Cage's face, but even the way they emote is pretty much spot on. Even the hair feels right for the most part. That's pretty freaky, right? Sure, we don't know who this other guy is, but that's not even closer to the point here. This is about how he looks eerily similar to Nick Cage, and we're sure that if Cage himself saw this, he'd want to do a film about him and flesh out his backstory. That's another terrifying thought, so let's just move on. 8. Rupert Grint. The Harry Potter franchise has been in the media a lot recently, and not exactly for the right reasons. We'll choose to focus on the movies that helped make the legend even greater, though, and talk about one of its main stars, Rupert Grint. Grint was the one and only Ronald Weasley, the best friend to Harry Potter and punching bag of the series in some respects. But he never shied away from a challenge and did all he could to help his friends and loved ones. Now take a look at this photo of a rather young Rupert Grint as he's put alongside Scottish painter Sir David Wilkie. Yep, we see the resemblance. That's another weird one, isn't it? Because you can definitely see how these two are practically the same person, and yet you know that they aren't related, not to mention were born in different places. Are you getting weirded out by how much history is affecting the present in this unsuspecting way? Well, strap in, because we're not done yet, and things will only get wildly from here. Stop freaking out, Ron. You're not under the microscope anymore. 7. Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris was once accused of looking exactly like another man, so Norris erased that man from existence so that the comparison couldn't be made anymore. Come on, who doesn't love a good Chuck Norris joke? Regardless of your taste in comedy, this picture makes an interesting claim about the legendary actor and martial arts master, specifically that he looks like the legendary painter Vincent van Gogh. Admittedly, it's the pictures themselves that help make this comparison believable, but it is a believable one. They do have similar facial hair and overall facial features. The hat also helps the situation. The key difference, though, is that even if you do believe they look like, these two couldn't have been more different in terms of their personalities and lives. Van Gogh was the very definition of a tortured genius, as his mind often played the worst kinds of tricks on him, which would eventually lead to his suicide at the age of 37, even though his career was literally just taking off. In contrast, while Chuck Norris's life might have started out basic, he eventually became one of the biggest stars in Hollywood through his impressive martial arts skills. He gained all kinds of fame and is still alive today. So while they are similar in looks to a certain point, they had very different lives, and that says quite a bit. 6. Bruce Willis. It's honestly a bit sad to talk about Bruce Willis right now, because he's currently going through a rather serious case of dementia. A dementia that literally ended his acting career and forced him to get serious care so that he doesn't hurt himself through his episodes. Yet, you have to wonder what he would think about being compared to the famous infamous military leader, Douglas MacArthur. Once again, we can see it. Plus, Willis has absolutely done a lot of miliary roles over the years, so he could have pulled off MacArthur if he really wanted to. Both of these men were known to be headstrong and take no crap, which has backfired on both of them over the course of their lives and careers. Thankfully, while Willis has said various things over the years to get him in trouble, his actions haven't technically gotten him the infamy that MacArthur did. Just saying. 5. Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf is one of Hollywood's more curious cases. Why is that? Well, he started out as one of many Disney Channel stars to go on to bigger things in Hollywood. He may have began with Even Stevens and Holes, but soon he was in the Transformers movies and doing all sorts of other films that that made it seem like he was destined to be an A-lister of the highest order. Then he went freaking nuts, to the point that he wore a paper bag over his head at a red carpet showing one time reading, "I'm not famous anymore." It actually got weirder from there, but we won't dive into it. So it might surprise you via this picture that he actually has a spitting image to the one and only Albert Einstein. Yes, this is clearly the younger version of the genius, but the point stands, they do look a lot alike. Obviously, like certain others we've talked about, the two had very different paths in their lives, including Einstein being revered for his monumental importance to history, science, and even pop culture. Shia doesn't really have much of a chance of making that much of an impact. Then again, he still has time to turn things around. 4. Jack Black. Not unlike certain celebrities in the world, if you were to say Jack Black to someone, your visual image of him would definitely change depending on the period that you were thinking about with him. If you look at him in his earliest days, or from films like School of Rock, and then picture him during his times with his Tenacious D counterpart, or in the recent Minecraft movie, you'll see that he's undergone some really radical looks and hairstyles over the years. As such, we will clarify that this picture features just one version of Jack Black, and a less hair one at that, and how he looks like the main character from The Barber of Seville. This one is honestly really hard to deny. You don't even have to look at the Jack Black picture to see the resemblance. You could just look at the poster and go, wow, that character looks just like Jack Black. What matters here isn't the hair, it's the face and the expression upon it. It feels like a Jack Black look, likely because he's probably done that look many a time in his films and TV appearances. Sometimes, things just turn out a certain way that you can't deny how similar things look because of it. This is absolutely one of those scenarios. 3. Anthony Hopkins. There are absolutely cases of royalty in the Hollywood industry, and Anthony Hopkins definitely qualifies for that. Heck, he won an Oscar for his acting not too long ago, and has put on memorable performances throughout his career. Just look up some of his best hits, like with Hannibal Lecter, Mask of Zorro, and others, and you'll see why many hold him in high esteem. Yet, in this picture, he can be given even greater esteem and pride, as he apparently looks like a version of Socrates. Socrates was the father of philosophy, and believed in its power over many other things. He was never afraid to question the point of certain things, and was willing to debate and attempt to prove logic even up to his death. In fact, he willingly chose death by poison versus having to admit that he was wrong about not believing in the gods and retracting certain insights he made about the foolishness of things like sacrifices. He went out on his own terms, and Hopkins feels like he would be a similar kind of man if given the option. 2. Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield may be most famous for his films where he played Spider-Man, well, one of the versions of Spider-Man, but his acting exploits go far beyond that. He's been nominated for his acting ability more than once, and has been a part of many award-winning films. He does much more than a spider can. In other words, Marxist Leon Trotsky is the person that he apparently looks like, and when you look at their faces and rather tall hair, you can see that this is honestly fairly accurate. Obviously, the two men were different in their philosophies and roles in history, but that just makes it all the more ironic that they look like one another, as you wouldn't expect it. And yet, there it is. 1. Keanu Reeves. It's honestly an absolutely joy to end this list talking about Keanu Reeves. By all accounts, he is one of the coolest and nicest people in all of Hollywood. Seriously, just look up some of the stories about Keanu Reeves, and you'll understand exactly how epic he is as a person. And then, you get to all his great movie roles that he delivers with utmost passion and comedy, and you'll see why he's the person you should be trying to emulate in life and not anyone else. He was so good in the John Wick movies that he actually outperformed professionals who were there to guide him in the action sequences. Look it up. He invented a new gun reload technique because he's Keanu Reeves and he's that good. So yeah, his recent looks are rather iconic, especially because of the John Wick films. And so when you see this picture of Louis Maurice Butet, a French painter and illustrator of children's books, you can see the resemblance. But there's a twist here. We're pretty sure that Keanu isn't the one who should be shocked that he looks like this painter. Instead, one should go back in time and show this painter, illustrator, this photo. Tell him about the glory of Keanu Reeves and witness him as he acknowledges that he is lucky enough to look like Keanu. Keanu, case closed. Now let's just pause for a second and think about what we've just gone through. Isn't it kind of wild how so many of these comparisons are not only accurate, but almost unsettling in how closely they match? And these aren't just kind of similar moments. These are full-blown, time-bending, alternate universe-level lookalikes that leave you wondering if time travel isn't just real, it's already happened. Or maybe it's reincarnation, or cloning, or just a cosmic glitch that's playing tricks on all of us. But whatever the explanation, it's clear that sometimes the past echoes into the present in ways that are far more literal than we expect. These resemblances don't just entertain us, they make us question how much of our identity is really unique. Out of the billions of people who've existed throughout history, is it really that surprising that a few might share similar features? Maybe not, but when it happens to people who are already famous, who have faces plastered across movie posters, magazine covers, and memes, it hits differently. And it's not just about the physical features either. Some of these pairings go beyond the surface. Take Bruce Willis and Douglas MacArthur, or Anthony Hopkins and Socrates. There's a certain energy there, right? A vibe. Something in the eyes, or the posture, or the legacy they're building. The idea that maybe, just maybe, these resemblances go beyond flesh and bone. That personality and spirit might echo just as much as cheekbones and hairlines. Even more curious is how many of these modern celebrities are iconic in their own right. We're not comparing background actors or indie unknowns. We're talking about people who have left major marks on pop culture. Oscar winners, action heroes, pop stars, childhood icons. So, what's the deal? Is it that they look like someone from the past? Or that someone from the past looked like someone meant to become a star later on? It's enough to make you wonder if the universe just likes to reuse its favorite templates. Oh, the tortured genius type? Let's bring back the Vincent van Gogh model. Pair it with a modern beard and a roundhouse kick. Boom, Chuck Norris. Or need another soft-spoken, world-saving legend? Yeah, let's reprint the Keanu mold. Throw in a little 1800s French painter flair for fun. The algorithm is glitching, folks, and we're loving it. But behind the laughs and the wow moments is something pretty special. These comparisons remind us of something we often forget in today's media-crazed culture. Our obsession with celebrity isn't new. It's just evolved. There were famous faces in every generation. Philosophers, generals, painters, revolutionaries. They were the icons of their time. And they, too, had people whispering in the streets about their charm, their talent, or their larger-than-life personalities. Now we have Instagram. They had oil portraits. We have fan edits. They had sculptures and sonnets. But the core fascination? It's the same. Humans love a face they can't forget. A personality that breaks the mold. A story that echoes across generations. So, when we see these side-by-sides of modern stars and historical figures, we're not just seeing coincidence, we're seeing how history and pop culture sometimes rhyme. It's a reminder that greatness, weirdness, charisma, and style aren't bound by centuries. They travel, they show up when and where they're needed, and sometimes they bring the same face with them. Of course, not all these celebrities probably love the comparisons. We doubt Rupert Grint wants to be haunted by the ghost of Sir David Wilkie every time he walks into a gallery. And Nicolas Cage? Well, he'd probably turn it into a movie where he's his own great-great-great-grandfather on a secret Civil War mission. Actually, someone go pitch that. Whether you think it's funny, spooky, or a little bit of both, one thing's for sure. These doppelgangers give us a new way to look at the faces we think we already know. And in some cases, it might just make you look a little harder at the people around you. Who knows? Maybe you have a historical twin just waiting to be discovered. Or maybe someday, you'll be the historical doppelganger someone else stumbles upon, centuries from now. And that's all from the hallowed realm of both celebrity and history, and how often they can cross over with one another in a way that is unexpected. Were you shocked by how close to one another these celebrities and past people were? Which of them did you personally feel were the most twin-like? Or do you know about another celebrity and their historical doppelganger that we should have documented? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.